What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers got some very good injury news. Meanwhile, could get some even better injury news before a pivotal Week 16 game against the Detroit Lions, a game that could help them decide the AFC North, that frankly could decide the AFC North for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're diving into what those injuries are, our bold predictions for this game against two 8-6 teams, and we'll make our picks heading into the weekend. It is a blizzard outside in the city of Pittsburgh. Yesterday, I said it was warm. Today, I will tell you, do not leave your house unless you need to. It's a cold one here. It's a rainy one here. It's a snowy one here. It's an icy one here. It's something here in the city of Pittsburgh. How you feeling, my friend?
I'm glad I'm home. Glad I got home from practice, when I did, because it just was the start of the roads getting pretty gross. So I imagine most of our Yinzer Nation in the Berg is like already cursing up a storm at PennDOT, being like, Yin's guys got to go ice them roads right now. And I couldn't agree more. But luckily, there's lots of good things on the All Steelers Talk to entertain you while these roads just continue to get worse and worse.
Yeah, shout out to the city of Pittsburgh, who, in my experience, is the worst city in the world at cleaning up snow. I've never experienced anything like this ever in my life, but I've been about this probably once a month from December until March. So glad you were good. Glad we're safe and sound. A little bit nervous that I got to go pick up a pizza after this, but if you're going to risk it for the biscuit, you're going to risk it for a vodka hot honey pepperoni pizza. I mean, those are just the rules. Those are just the rules. That's what I'm saying. Let's talk some Pittsburgh Steelers football here. We're going to start with the good news. Zach Frazier, good to go against the Lions. He said yesterday that he's optimistic that he will play, then return to practice, ready to go. Does not have an injury designation. He's one of few players that I look at and say, there's very little worry between me and him when it comes to being able to play with bumps and bruises in a weekend game, especially late in the season. I think for the Steelers, it's a massive boost for this team that they will need to use and will rely on, like the rest of their offensive line, against a pretty good Lions defensive line. Do you have the same confidence? Do you have any worry about a tricep injury? And what's your thoughts on him being able to play against the Lions?
It's huge. It's a massive boost for this Pittsburgh Steelers team. All signs, were, for at least for a day, were pointing towards maybe the end of the week injury report for the Pittsburgh Steelers was going to be devastating. But it seems like their final one here, Zach Frazier included, has a little bit more positive marks than I expected. So it's a huge boost to make sure that you have Frazier for this game. I think he is just, he's your anchor, right? And I don't think that's a bold take or a bold prediction or anything like that. He is the piece that makes everything go along that offensive line. And, they have a heck of a challenge going up against Aiden Hutchinson, something we've talked about all week leading up to this contest, and having him even at maybe slightly below 100% is a significant upgrade, and it gives you a ton of confidence that maybe you could just match up against a pretty nasty defensive front in Detroit.
Yeah, I agree. I just spoke to or was on a Lions podcast earlier. Go check them out. I believe it's called The Lions Den, which is a fantastic name for a Lions podcast. And they were telling me, or I was telling them, that I was worried about the offensive line. They said that the defensive line in Detroit is good, but maybe not as good as everybody thinks they are. And I said, oh, well, having Zach Frazier back will certainly help that mix. On the other side of it, James Pierre out for this one. This is his second game. Loss of James Pierre is significant. I actually think that that's the speed you need against Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown, against a team that is super fast, to be able to play man-to-man coverage against them. Asante is a fast guy, but James is maybe the fastest corner the Steelers have here. Brandon Echols is good too, but he plays in the slot. For me, on the other side of it, Asante gets an opportunity to continue to cement himself as that guy. I'm excited to see it. It's crazy that we are at a point in the Steelers where you are disappointed that James Pierre cannot play, but also battling with the excitement of seeing Asante Samuel Jr. get more reps because James Pierre will not start. Why? If you told me that 3 years ago, I'd laugh so hard. Your thoughts on Pierre being out and also Asante getting another opportunity that I think continues to put him in a place where he could not only earn a spot the rest of this year, but earn a spot next year, which I think the Steelers want to happen.
Yeah, I think they absolutely want that for Asante Samuel Jr. And look, as big as a good piece of good news it is to have Zach Frazier back in the lineup, as well as James Pierre has been playing, it feels as, impactful to not have him going up against a really explosive two wide receivers in Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. That being said, this does feel like a perfect sort of this is a perfect sort of example of a silver lining, right? Like Asante Samuel Jr. is a player that I think the Steelers have kind of had big plans for months, even going back to before they even signed him. I think they've looked at him as a player who could fill the void in the cornerback depth. And I think that they are going to give him, again, it's through unfortunate circumstances, being injuries here, but you have this chance to see just how far has Asante Samuel Jr. come, and how much more do you think you have left in this player beyond 2025? And it opens up so many doors and possibilities for this defense. So look, if they have a good game, it's, a wonderful turn of events that come out of a bad circumstance. If it is a regression for Asante Samuel Jr., this is absolutely his toughest matchup coming after, being off the field for a year. Maybe it casts a little bit of doubt as to where his place is with this team moving forward, but huge opportunity nonetheless for the defense overall and Asante Samuel Jr. You come in here and shut down Jameson Williams, or he and really Brandon Echols are going to be tasked with that, because Jameson Williams is going to get a lot of looks sort of in, the X, the Z, the slot position. We're going to see a lot of movement from Jameson Williams. So a combination of Asante Samuel Jr. and Brandon Echols, you got to have some hope in, and I think there's reason enough for that based off of how they've performed this year.
I also agree with that. I was going to ask that. I was going to follow up with this question. Do you think that what we've seen so far in the small spurts that we've seen at the last couple of weeks, that we are getting to a place where the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary of 2026 may actually be forming, where we're getting to a place where you're looking at it going, realistically, this could be the group that the Steelers carry into 2026 with Joey, James, Asante, and Brandon Echols, which is, not a bad four to have by no means, especially the way that they started the season here. And then hopefully you get a Dante Kemp back. Maybe you give Corey Trice one more go there. I don't know. But the core four, are you starting to see that kind of form? Do you think there's an opportunity that forms before the end of this year?
I think there's a good chance. There's a decent enough chance of that. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers would love for there to be those four players plus maybe a first or second round draft pick added to that secondary group.
Yeah.
Then I'd feel a lot more confident of that group plus a Dante Kent plus, a returning Deshaun Elliott, Jalen Ramsey, if you decide to retain Kyle Duggar or, some other depth safety. Yeah, I think it looks a lot better. I don't feel satisfied or comfortable with that being your top four cornerbacks going into the 2026 season, just to be perfectly clear. But I like the idea of this being sort of the group to build around, and you see what you have here. You have youth, you have talent, you have speed, you have a little bit of experience too as well within those four players. And now maybe you can just kind of add to it a little bit. I like that. But if we're saying this is your core four and this is the secondary we're going to plan to run with in 2026, I say, okay, I think it needs a little bit of an improvement.
Yeah, it needs to be open-minded. You need to be able to go into the offseason. I agree with you, and be like, okay, this is good. Can it get better? If it can't, okay, I understand. It's not always available. And I think that you have to attack it with the understanding that you don't get to make these decisions all the time. You aren't presented with every player at every position to go out there and sign. But if there are options, and these options are not the Darius Slay type options, I'm very okay with it. I'm very okay with slightly improving the group that they have. Now let's talk about the questionables, the doubtfuls here. Christian Kuntz is questionable. The Pittsburgh Steelers signed Cal Adamitis out of Pitt, dude with the hair, long time kid or long snapper in this league at this point, played the last 5 or 6 seasons, bouncing around mostly with the Cincinnati Bengals. He's questionable to go. Obviously, we'll keep you updated there. Nick Herbig returned to practice today and is doubtful to play, but you saw him. Take us through what happened today, what you saw on the field, and where that left you, to be honest, in terms of whether or not you think he's actually going to play.
I will start by saying I was surprised to see him out there at all as the practice session sort of got going. Noah can confirm. I was like, whoa, we got a little Herbig sighting. This is kind of crazy. So it was great to see him back on the field. He looked like a player who was testing, sort of testing how much can he withstand on that injured hamstring? How much can he push it in an upcoming matchup? As we've talked about before, and as he said again today, he feels optimistic about playing, wouldn't commit to it. Obviously, you get the doubtful tag. It obviously elicits doubt. It invokes doubt. But yes. I saw a player who was pushing really hard to try to get on the field on Sunday. I think it's unlikely he plays still, even with the fact that he was able to bump up to a limited participant. But it makes me feel great overall because just a couple of days ago, maybe even 24 hours ago, we were talking about the possibility of, are they going to play with just 3 outside linebackers for the rest of the season and one of them be Jeremiah Moon, right? But I don't find that to be the case anymore, especially after seeing him back on the field, even in a limited capacity. He might not play on Sunday. I don't, I wouldn't count on it, wouldn't bet all your bottom dollar on it, but I think it's looking a lot more likely that we're going to see Nick Herbig back in the final 2 weeks if the Steelers need to win a game, which is great.
Yeah, that's huge. Like, to me, that's a massive win for the Pittsburgh Steelers to just have him out there and to begin that run. Him going today, even in a limited role, means to me that the Steelers knew there was an opportunity he could play this week, which to me tells me that the opportunity to play next week is very much so there, that they are already probably looking at it and say, well, he could have played this week if things went well. Next week, we're feeling that, well, he's going to be out there and he's going to be good to go. That's ginormous for the Steelers to go into Cleveland and have the opportunity to have Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig and Jack Sawyer. Even if that's your 3, it takes so much pressure off of having to push TJ Watt back onto the field before he's fully healthy. And I get it. You want TJ Watt on the field. You want TJ Watt on the field in the postseason more than you want TJ Watt on the field in week 17 against the Browns. And to have Herbig out there is, so significant. I don't know if he'll play today. I didn't see. I'll take your word for it, as I always do, and say, chances are he's not. If you're listed as doubtful, chances are you are not going to play. I've seen crazier things happen. I'm very much so okay with him just having the opportunity to practice, to open the door and say, Jeremiah Moon was for TJ, wasn't for Nick Herbig. And that's crazy to say. Like, that's okay. that's good news for the Steelers that the move was not for Nick Herbig. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied. How nervous are you with this outside linebacker group? I think that's something we have not addressed enough here, is that they are walking into this thing with Alex Highsmith and Jack Sawyer and Jeremiah Moon coming off the bench, and their defense lives and dies off of that group of players that is now just completely decimated heading into a pivotal game.
It's nerve-wracking, man. I can't, we've already talked about how potent and dangerous the Detroit Lions offense can be. We're talking about the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL coming into this week. They would put up numbers against, the very best, and they have put up numbers against some much better defenses this year. So you're already kind of nervous for that matchup heading into it. You look at how a possibly overtaxed, short-handed outside linebacker group, it's incredibly nerve-wracking. And the one other thing that to mention, not only is this going to be Jack Sawyer's first big opportunity, his big break, he's also still a member of the special teams unit, right? Like
Yeah.
they don't have replacements, right? Like Jeremiah Moon doesn't come in here and instantly replace what Jack Sawyer does on the punt team, on the kickoff team. Like, so you're looking at a player who's going to be playing, he's going to go from playing around, let's call it 25 to 30% of the entire snaps at most to double that, triple that, maybe.
Nearly 100.
Yeah. So that's where the nerves kick in for me, is like, this is going to be a dramatically increased usage of someone like Jack Sawyer. Alex Highsmith is going to have to be relied upon to play the entirety of the game without any sort of level of play dropping off. And then you have to have either DeMarvin Leal or Jeremiah Moon give you rotational snaps. It's enough to, garner some nerves, I would say. So you're crossing your fingers. Nick Herbig gave it a little bit of go on Friday. He's hurting, but he's going to push through. That makes me feel a lot better. Even same thing with Frazier on the other side of the ball. A hurt Herbig in the game makes me feel a lot better than, Jeremiah Moon, right? And I think we can all agree on that.
Any day. And DeMarvin Leal, I'm pretty sure, played 3 games already this season on the practice squad. I know he was signed for a minute, so I think he's done. So I think at this point, you got to look at other options. Dude, it's so crazy to me that the Steelers have they are in a 2-game winning streak. Everybody is so excited about the possibility of a playoffs that it's almost as if we're overlooking that they are completely smoked injury-wise right now, that they are getting beat up left and right. And don't get me wrong, I'd rather get hurt now than week 18. I think it's the right time to be banged up with short-term injuries. But in a game that, people are talking about, they could win it. They could win it. Look at the injuries, and I think it changes a lot of how you view the game. I am nervous for it as well. I'm definitely nervous for Jack Sawyer. I think Jack Sawyer is going to be fine. I'm openly optimistic about what he can do. I also think that he won't have the impact of a Nick Herbig or a TJ Watt, and I wonder what that does to the defense as a whole. We'll see what happens. Nick Herbig, doubtful. The Pittsburgh Steelers got a couple of injuries heading into this game, even 2 we didn't mention in TJ and Isaac Seumalo, which are not good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's dive into some bold predictions here and then make our picks for week 16, Pittsburgh Steelers, Detroit Lions. I also laughed midway through your thing only because I just noticed your shirt as I did. And
did you like that?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. I think I like is that a llama or another dog with sunglasses on?
Oh, this is a dog as well. These are all golden retrievers.
Just looking studly. Looking absolutely studly. I love it, dude.
Man. It's a holly jolly Christmas with a little bit of puppies on top. Love it.
Always. All right, let's dive into some bold predictions here. Pittsburgh Steelers, Detroit Lions. I'll let you kick it off as I always do. Hit me with your first one. I'm excited to hear it.
Let's dive into it, brother. Look, I think, talk about beat up defenses. The Pittsburgh Steelers have one. So too do their upcoming opponents on Sunday, the Detroit Lions. And there's something we have not seen from quarterback Aaron Rodgers this year. We've seen a lot. We've seen him supervising the tush push. We've seen him dominate games. We've seen him not look his best. We have not seen him throw for more than 300 yards in a game. My first bold prediction is that happens in week 16 because of a beat up secondary in Detroit. Aaron Rodgers is going to go for more than 300 passing yards in this game. There's my first bold prediction.
Let's go. What did Aaron finish with last week? It wasn't 300.
284.
284. I love that one, actually. I think it's true. I think Detroit's secondary is beat up just as much as the Pittsburgh Steelers outside linebacker group. And DK is on a roll right now. DK and Aaron finally have a connection that was definitely formed with defenses taking pressure away from them and focusing on other things. But that's fine because good quarterbacks will find the next guy if DK gets covered. But right now, you got DK, you got Darnell Washington that I'll dive into here in a second. Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith. I like it. I like it a lot, to be honest with you. I could see 300 yards. I think that's the only way you keep this game alive, is if Aaron is slicing and dicing this defense and you are putting up point for point against the Detroit Lions. I don't think this is some people say this is, and we'll get to picks. I'll hear what yours is shortly. For me, in my head, people will say, oh, this is going to be a dogfight. I do not see that. I think if the Steelers win this game, it is because they scored a boatload of points against the Detroit Lions. So I love it. 300 yards. I could see it happening for sure. I'll toss my first one out here on offense and roll with the dice, or roll the dice more on Aaron Rodgers here. I think his number one target in this game is the guy that just got compared to Rob Gronkowski by Rob Gronkowski, and that is Darnell Washington. I think this is Darnell's biggest game of his NFL career, and I say that because you don't have anybody to put on him. Kirby Joseph is probably going to be doubtful for this game if he plays at all. Brian Branch is injured. What are you going to put Jack Campbell on him? He's going to outrun Jack Campbell all day long. I just don't think that the Lions have anybody who can compete with Darnell Washington. I think Darnell goes out here and catches his second touchdown of the season, and on top of that, leads all receivers in receiving yards in this game against the Lions. I think this is a massive game for Darnell Washington, and I think he's going to be fired up for it.
I love to hear it. 300 passing yards, 300 receiving yards, all to Darnell Washington. Book it.
It'd be the greatest game ever. The greatest game. I'd be so upset that I wasn't there to just look Darnell in the eyes afterwards and be like, you did good, man. You did good. It was a good day.
Did good. Kirby Joseph is indeed out. So to your point, scrolling through, I don't see the rest, but I'll check on that in a minute. Let me throw my second full prediction at you, and then I'll check on the rest of the Lions injury report while I hear yours. I might have given a similar one last week. The picnic pack can remind me, but I think the injury to James Pierre is another unfortunate opportunity for Asante Samuel Jr. I'm a believer in ASJ. I truly am. And I think his role as the number 2 cornerback on the outside specifically continues to be solidified for the rest of this season and going forward. I think ASJ, with my second bold prediction, is going to record his second interception in as many weeks against the Detroit Lions. Again, propelling him and keeping him in the mix as a number 2 cornerback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I love that. Can you go deeper? Who's it on?
I'm this is just from the hopeful part of me. I hope it's him on a one-on-one matchup against Jameson Williams, because it has to be that sort of pure athleticism display for me to be like, there's our answer. Now we don't even have to draft somebody,
Yeah. I hear it. I hope it happens, dude. I love Asante Samuel Jr. I think he's very versatile. I think he's got a ton of speed. I think that he missed a lot of time, obviously, so you got to brush the rust off. But I don't look at him as a guy that you are overly concerned about. I just think that he's a starter in the NFL, whether he's in Pittsburgh or another team. To prove that in Pittsburgh would be so awesome. I'm about it. I think it could happen. I hope it does happen. It would be fun to watch. I'll stick it out here on the defensive side of the football too. Jack Sawyer is going to start. He's going to play a lot for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think this is an awesome moment for the Steelers outside linebacker. He's not the guy that I think is going to have the massive game though. Okay. This is strictly bold prediction here. This is not reporting anything. This is nothing. This is strictly bold prediction. You want to know how I think the Pittsburgh Steelers add to their defensive arsenal without TJ and Nick Herbig and limited on outside linebacker? I think it's through Peyton Wilson. I think Peyton is going to be rushing the quarterback left and right in this game. And I'm going to say it right now. I think Peyton Wilson, the inside linebacker, not the outside linebacker, is going to have 2 sacks against Jared Goff and company. I think that's how they're going to utilize him in this game, is to say, look, we need somebody who's fast. We need to create pressure for Jared Goff. This is how we do it. I look at it and say this is a big Peyton Wilson game. I'm saying 2 sacks on Peyton Wilson.
Wow. That would be another huge step for this Pittsburgh Steelers team. Another way of shaking up, their looks on defense. They've gotten they've shown a little tendency to blitz some middle linebackers this year, and it does fire me up when I've seen that happen. So, Jared Goff is slow, right? Like, so if you can
Slow.
get past his offensive line, you have a great chance of taking him down. It's much easier than your Josh Allen, your Lamar Jackson, and list your athletic quarterbacks go on down the line. But I would love to see that, man. That's a bold prediction, brother.
Well, I would love to. We'll see. We'll see. I would love for it to happen. We'll see what happens. All right, let's follow that up by making our picks. Week 16, Pittsburgh Steelers, Detroit Lions. On this one, I'll be honest, and we'll get to it here in a second. I am not feeling great about this game, but the Detroit Lions are 7-point favorites with a 52.5 over-under in this one. Vegas does not see good things for the 18-8 Aaron Rodgers, who, well, wins against the Detroit Lions. The problem is the Steelers, they don't at the same time. We'll see what happens. What's your pick? Week 16, Pittsburgh Steelers, Detroit Lions.
A really tough one because you're right. I think the last time these two teams played in the regular season, it was a tie, if I am correct.
Yes. And shout out Mason Rudolph.
Yep. Thank you very much.
No, I take that back. It was, I could
easily be mistaken.
I think there was one after that. I could be wrong though. I think they played 2 years ago.
They might have.
Yeah. I'll look it up while you're doing your thing.
Yeah, thanks, man. I agree with you with the overall sentiment that the Steelers might have trouble beating the Lions in the regular season. Aaron Rodgers does not have that problem. I'm kind of amazed at the spread on this. Not a gambling guy, not a Vegas guy. That seems like a pretty big favoring of the Detroit Lions, who are a team to me that is not that much better than the Pittsburgh Steelers at this stage of the season. All that said, I got the Steelers once again, getting their third win in a row, and I have it happening by a final score of 30-20.
That is 30-20? You think it's a blowout win?
I don't know if it's going to be a blowout win.
30-20 is a blowout win.
I think it's going to be close for a long time. Wow. I do. But I think the Steelers make a statement with this victory.
Wow. Do not take this shock as a disagreement. Just
it certainly can be. I'm not going to fault you for it.
Just did not see that coming at all. To be really honest, I was nervous that both of our picks were going to be losses. But that's a stunner there. And I can't argue it. I won't argue it. That's a stunner. The last time the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Detroit Lions played, it was a tie, 16-16. Shout out to Mason Rudolph once again. I think the Steelers lose this game, dude. I'm so sorry that I have to do that to everybody. I think that they lose this game. I am not convinced about the Steelers yet. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I get to come on the podcast at 8 p.m. on Sunday night and talk about how I'm a big idiot and, I should have seen all this coming and blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's going to be close. I think the Steelers lose this one 28-17. I'm going to say. Ooh. In a game that just doesn't, it's not a good, I think they're banged up. I think they're too banged up right now. It doesn't make me feel good about the defense. I think I'd feel better with if Derek Harmon didn't miss the last 2 games and is now coming back. And
what do you think is the difference maker for the Lions in this matchup? Is it the run? Yep. Understood. Understood. Understood.
Yeah. Like I think once he gets going, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. And then offensively, I have a lot of faith in Dylan Cook and company. I don't know how much faith I have though. We're going to see. I hope I'm wrong. I'm going 28-17. I feel awful about it, but I'm just being realistic. That's my pick.
Well, I will say there are more similarities to these picks, just we have the opposite teams winning, but I think we both are kind of seeing a little bit or foreshadowing like these games going a little bit differently than we expect. Like they are very close teams on paper in a lot of ways. So I was kind of expecting like a 27-24 prediction, 24-21 prediction from you. So I'm surprised that we both are kind of seeing this the same way, where it's like,
Yeah.
I think one team's going to impressively come out the victor in this game. We just disagree on who that team is.
Who it is. I hope you're right, dude. I hope you are the right one, because if it's me, that stinks. Then you got to go to Cleveland and you hope that you beat the Browns. And you want to know what I would love? I would love for the Pittsburgh Steelers on Saturday night next week to completely ruin my Saturday night by claiming the AFC North at midnight. That would be awesome. That'd be so good. I would love to have to stay up all night, watch the Ravens game, and then drive to Cleveland at 6 a.m. because I truthfully mean that. I hope that that's the case, because that would be best case scenario. We'll see what happens. All right. With that said, guys, that's everything on our agenda. We're going to take a quick break or when we get back, we're going to start answering your questions. So toss them in the chat. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes black and gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All righty. Shout out to our super chatters. Shout out to our members. Can't thank you guys enough. If you got questions, toss them in the chat. We'll get to as many of them as we can. Before we head out of here, we're going to start with the Rats. I think Steelers need to pass again to open up the run, as opposed to run and open up the pass. Worked great against the Ravens. I said this today to somebody. I'll say it again. I truly think that the Steelers' identity right now has shifted once again, and it has gone away from a run-heavy offense and to a we live and die off of Aaron Rodgers, and the run game just keeps it moving. That's what we do. The Steelers win games because of the passing game, survive during those games with the running game. And I'm okay with that, truthfully, because you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. That's okay to have. But I think that's where they've shifted for sure.
For sure. And that's why, and I've seen a lot of like comments from viewers, and I've talked to a lot of people who think the way that the Steelers should win, or the way that they can win, is by controlling time of possession and relying heavily on the ground game. And in a perfect world, I certainly would agree, because when they do control time of possession, they win. I just think that your best offensive weapons and your best matchups in this specific game are Aaron Rodgers and his wide receivers going up against a beaten and banged up Detroit Lions team. So I think I would love to see them sort of emulate the way that they started the game against the Baltimore Ravens. I think it really caught the Ravens off guard, and then immediately allowed them to open up the rest of the playbook with great success for a majority of the game. So I think you got to go pass first. Run game supports it, but you also have to just be adjustable, right? Like when Kenny Gainwell comes on the field last week, and all of a sudden he's playing like, Devon A-Chain had been the prior 10 weeks. You got to ride that player. You cannot just be like, well, Aaron Rodgers is the guy. We're going to get the ball in his hands. We got to let him do it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
I didn't know if there was more coming. I froze for a second.
I got distracted by a sound in my AirPods.
It's the tornado outside, dude. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. I do agree, though. 350 supers. Noah, you didn't have confidence in the Steelers stopping the Miami run. Also, do you think the Steelers go for Joe Burrow? I did not have confidence against Miami. The difference, I think, here is that Miami's in the freezing cold. Detroit's going to be in a dome at home. I'm not going to say that. I'm not trying to argue. I hope I'm wrong. I do. That's just in my head where it's going and why I feel the way that I do. As for the Steelers and Joe Burrow, do I think they'd make a run at him? Yeah, I think they'd make a phone call. I bet you they'd get hung up on, but I think that they'd make a phone call. Do you feel that they would? I think they'd at least call. Be like, brother, what's good, dude? Hello? Can you hear me? No. Yeah.
Hey, how's the family? Good, great. Hey, is Joe busy? Can he come to Pittsburgh this summer? Um, that'd be great. Oh, and you know what that sound was in my AirPod? Is that my phone's gonna die. So I'm gonna disappear for a second and plug my phone in.
That would make sense. I don't think that the Steelers would go after Joe Burrow. I've also been told by a source in the Cincinnati Bengals organization that the Bengals would never, ever, ever trade him to Pittsburgh. Not saying that they shouldn't try, but I don't think it would happen. ND Joe, Noah, you're listening too much to our favorite UPS driver lately. Did he already call in and leave his prediction? Your score could have been closer. I have been for those of you who don't watch the call-in show. First, you should. It's a good time. Second, Stephen Cornfield, shout out to Too Hard at Practice, Too Many Hard at Practice, who calls in every morning before the game, gives his prediction in the opposite direction of where the game should go. Usually it works out for him. Sometimes it does not. I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm feeling not good about this one. And I hope I'm wrong. So I'll say, I will make this very, very clear. This to me is the Steelers will shut me up for the rest of the season game. If the Steelers beat the Detroit Lions in any fashion, I don't care how it happens. If they beat the Detroit Lions, I'm in. I'm here. The Steelers are real. They have convinced me that they're real. They are real at the right time. You could get me to believe in this team in any capacity that you want me to get to, that you want me to believe in them. But before this game, I am still very up in the air about if I believe in the Steelers or not. But that's all it takes is a win. All it's going to take is a win.
Yeah, I think this would stand as a very impressive win at an important time of their schedule. I know I've been like the most positive person and version of myself today, but even if they win, I don't like that. Like I will acknowledge if they win that they have a much greater chance, right? And like that maybe they could make some noise in the playoffs. I personally will not be buying into that sort of whole. I won't be getting on that bandwagon until they are in a wild card weekend matchup. Clock strikes 0 and they have more points than the team they're playing against. Like up until then, I'm like, I don't know how this team's going to win in the playoffs, even with all the excitement. So I gotta be honest, I have to be.
And I'm like, tables turned. Go, hey, Jacob, now. This is my response to this question. Dolph K. Metcalf, I don't know why. I'm feeling really good about this week, but no any updates on the package. Package is on its way. My brother actually checked yesterday morning, and it was packing up. Don't know why I'm feeling good about this week. I think that the Steelers are 2-0 in their last 2 games, and why not? Why wouldn't you feel good about this week? Is it going to result in a win? I don't know, but can it happen? Yeah, for sure. For sure. If they win this game, do you think they go 5-0 to run the rest of the season?
Ooh, they could. Certainly. I think there's a great chance that because Cleveland's doesn't seem like any real competition.
Come on, dude. The Browns are not good with Shador.
They're not good. They are shapoopy. And that is, shout out the Music Man for the song title on that one. That's a deep cut for all of our picnic pack today. You can go look that up. People are probably more familiar with the term shapoopy from the Family Guy episode, but they ripped that off from the Music Man. So there's your history lesson for today. They are shapoopy. Listen, they're not a problem. If the Steelers go 4-0, right, and then they have Week 18 against the Ravens, I don't know if they'll go 5-0 because they'll be resting everybody, and that's just.
Dude, you're telling me Will Howard's not going to go out there and win a game?
He single-handedly could take this team to the Super Bowl, but it's possible he loses that
22
game.
22 positions. Put that boy out there. And I don't know. I'd be all about it. I hear that. Okay, so if that's the exception, I hear that. The Cleveland, I feel it could happen. It could happen. And Baltimore could also win those 2 games, and then you have to go into Baltimore and win. So a lot of possibilities. Either way, I'm excited. Thomas, why do the Steelers hate Kaleb Johnson? Dude was a stud in college, and we refuse to use him. I'll be honest. I don't think Kaleb Johnson, he obviously put himself in the doghouse early in the season with a bad kick play. I don't even want to say a fumble. It was not a fumble. It was I'm just not going to know the rules And then when he came back, you could tell he fumbled on his first run. That hurt. And then after that, he definitely lost some confidence. The Steelers worked him back. I think they'll slowly continue to work him into the rotation. But on the other side of that, Jaylen Warren and Kenny G look fantastic. So I'm not taking them off the field. I don't think they're even the issue in the running game. When the running game isn't working well, I don't look at either of them and go, they're bad. I look at the offensive line and go, you guys should play better because you have great running backs. And if you gave them some holes, they'd probably be really good. So I don't know. I don't think it's the Steelers hating Kaleb. I honestly think it's everything around it.
This makes me think of just like how many stud college running backs come into the NFL and just are so average and pedestrian. Majority of them, right? Like, the first name that popped into my mind, and I don't think this is the best example because injuries were a big part of it, but I loved watching Monty Ball when he was at the University of Wisconsin. And I was like, this guy's going to be Adrian Peterson times 12. And injuries were a huge part of it, but gets to the NFL, just is not what happened to Monty Ball. He had to take his ball and go home. So
he did. Shout out to the Denver Broncos. My dad's still probably thinking about that one. I agree. I just look at running backs and say sometimes you need to develop them. I also look at it and say no rookie should have the expectation to be a absolute killer in year one. And I also don't compare to other teams. Like the RJ Harvey thing's the biggest example right now. But he's like, dude's drafted after. He looks so good. He does. Don't get me wrong. He does. It's not apples to oranges. It's not even close. And I think that there's a big difference there. So I'm not giving up on him. I don't think the Steelers hate him. We'll see what happens. 350 supers. Nick from Penn Live, good old Nick Fairbaugh, friend of the show, thinks Herbig will be questionable. And on a pitch count, what do you think? Pitch count would be impressive. You said Herbig said he's optimistic to play. You spoke to him after
that's
practice?
What he said. Yeah. That's what he said after practice.
I think that's significant, to be really honest. I think that Herbig saying that there's a possibility is a sign that there's a possibility for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And again, like I saw a player who was like truly trying to test, the hamstring in practice today, right? Like it did not look like a player who was fully healthy, right? But it looked like a player who had a solid amount of mobility and was trying to see, like, and all that to say, it kind of lends itself to this idea that Farabaugh's pitching, and I would agree with that method and that approach if the Pittsburgh Steelers were to utilize it, because again, I will take Nick Herbig, in 15 snaps at 85%. Compared to Jeremiah Moon at 100% for any of those snaps. Like you're going to get more from Herbig, period. If you can utilize him, bravo.
I agree. If you could get him on the field, cool. And if he says that he's hopeful, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Tell him I don't know anything, So we'll see what happens. Would be a huge boost for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Andrew, member for 10 months, insane. Let's say we do win out, but then die like normal in the first round of the playoffs. How would you feel about job security on the coaching staff? I think everybody's gone except for Tomlin if they don't want a playoff game. Doesn't matter how they finish the season. None of it. I think that everybody's gone except for Tomlin if they don't want a playoff game. And I don't even know how else to explain it.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else to really elaborate on. I think it also would be, I think an understanding would kind of happen behind the scenes between Tomlin and Rooney. They're like, all right, there's no extension happening again. And that is the custom of the Steelers with Tomlin, is they have been giving him an extension a year before the contract is going to expire, set to run out in 2027. I think if this is another Steelers, fizzle out in the playoffs, it's just like, all right, cool. We're going to let this thing we're going to let the clock run out and just kind of move on.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel the same way. And as for everybody else, immediately it's just Tomlin in a big room looking around going, where'd everybody go? So what happened? Maddie,
the end of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when Will Smith's looking around at the empty house.
Yes.
Like,
You do a great Will Smith impression at the end of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah, of course. Maddie, what do you think was said when both offense and defense aired out their grievances after the Bills game? Even heard DK spoke up. And then Lindsay's tossing in here. Was it a players only meeting or what happened? It was a players only meeting from my understanding. No, I think it was a players meeting that included the coaches. I think the players set it up. The coaches were there. From mine, I don't know if Tomlin was there, but I think everybody else was there. What do I think was said was I think a lot of people were just like, hey guys, we need to stop the BSing. You know, these meetings are usually pretty status quo. You walk in there, players say, hey, I think we're doing this wrong. Hey, we could be doing this better. Why are we ignoring this kind of thing? They ask all the questions really that everybody's been asking on the outside that they obviously still have when they think about these things. And then coaches respond, other players respond. Very rarely do you walk into these things and go, Cam, you suck. You need to play better. And Cam's like, got it. Sounds good. It's usually more of just like guys getting up there, sharing motivational speeches, asking important questions, and then a lot of things change. So that's why like you never come out of them and like everything looks different, but you usually get that spark because you did go in there and like you spent an hour or so just absorbing what your teammates feel and you know, connecting. And I think that's huge. I think that does so much for a team, especially late in the season. But that's what I expect to happen. Do you feel any different?
No, I assume that's what happened. Like my only like I don't have any sort of frame of reference for this, right? Like anytime I've been to like an all staff meeting, any of my jobs, I've always left every single one of them being like, that was stupid, could have been an email, and I want to work less now. So like I don't know if I can't imagine that was the case for the Pittsburgh Steelers or for most professional teams when they have these, you know, come to Jesus moments. But yeah, that's the only thing that's kind of ringing in the back of my head is like, I wonder if there's anyone in the back just like, can we please just go to lunch? You know,
I bet you that player is not in the NFL very long if there is one of those guys. Just like, you know what, dude, I really don't want to be here. I really, as DK's like up in the room being like, we got to win this. We got to do this. And he's just like, God, come on, dude.
I'm going to Wendy's, man. Wow.
Like, it's Taco Tuesday, bro. What are we doing? I could see it. That guy's getting cut immediately. Nate Moore, how will they deal with the split between Asante Samuel Jr. and Pierre Island when Pierre comes back? They both deserve to be on the field. I hope that it is like a 50-50 split, but to also like you're riding the hot hand. If James Pierre's out there balling, let him ball. If Asante Samuel's out there balling, let him ball. Like, I'm cool with both of them. I think James Pierre retains the starting job when he comes back, but I do think Asante is much more heavily involved than what he's been so far.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect him. Was that the Baltimore game where he did not play any defensive snaps? I think that was, yeah. Like, I wouldn't expect anything like that even once Pierre comes back. But yeah, I think, you know, you have a really good opportunity circumstantially, I guess, against the Baltimore Ravens again to have both on the field in a lot of moments. But yeah, I want to just make sure, and I would like to see that neither of them get completely sort of removed from the plan for the rest of the season.
Yes, I agree. Rats, does Tomlin still have renewed passion since fire Tomlin chants and the players? Yes and no, I guess. I don't know. Monday night was a skewed factor here. They haven't lost a Monday Night Football game at home in 22 years. I mean, like, most people weren't alive who were watching that game when the last time Chuck Noll, man, was the last coach to lose a Monday Night Football game at Chuck Noll. Bill Cowher went his whole career. He was like, I'm not doing that. So we'll see. We'll see. I think that it's a find out on Sunday type of situation because I thought he lost it after the Baltimore game. Came back, seemed a little cocky, kind of felt like he was back. We'll see if after 2 games he feels like he's back. I hope that's not the case. I think if Tomlin is passionate throughout the entire playoffs, the Steelers could do a lot of things. I think passionate Tomlin is one of the most dangerous coaches in the NFL, and we just haven't seen it in so long. We'll find out on Sunday when they come out here, and do they look good? Do they not look good? And what does Tomlin look like afterwards? Because I think that's going to tell us everything. I don't know. I don't know. It's tough to say right now.
Yeah, I didn't even get the sense that like Tomlin's passion was that elevated, like he tried to downplay it, at least with him saying that he's been on the hot seat since he took the job.
19 years, brother.
19 years have been on the hot seat,
brother.
Which is just the biggest crock. But I don't think it really got like, I still see him as a man who is like devout in his NFL coachingness, like I would liken it to people who are, take up the cloth, right? Like that man, the only thing that guy thinks about still is football, right? Like that. And do not be fooled by the sort of bashing that goes on. And I'm just as guilty about it, right? Like, and I'm just as guilty about like criticizing, but you spend an hour, like, or just like you go to one practice, like I do once a week, and you're like, these guys are devoted to this sport in this lifestyle in a way that I just can't even comprehend or fathom. What I mean? I love my wife way too much for this. Like, I'm like, that's crazy.
Dude, it's so nuts because I'm as regimented as of a person as they come, I think. They are the people that if you're like, hey dude, I need you to go do this at 3:05, they look at their calendar and they're like, I can't do that, dude. I can't. 3:05, I have to be here. Like, I can't. I'm so sorry. Like, it's down to the second. It's nuts. And I agree. That man loves football. Does that mean that he's got the passion to admit his mistakes? I think that's what it was. It was humbled passion. We'll find out. We'll find out on Sunday. Poke my lung salad. Noah gets the Chris Carter brown bag if we lose. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll go steal Chris's from the press box. I won't be at the press box. I will go steal Chris's from somewhere and put it on my head when it happens. And I hope it does. Yinzer Jake, what do you guys think of my bold prediction? Steelers win 37-31. Thielen and MVS both get touchdowns, and Asante Samuel Jr. gets a pick six. Rodgers throws for 325 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think, gosh darn, that's a game. I think I put up those numbers in Madden last night. Pretty positive.
I did great.
I think I think what's pushing me back the most on this is the pick six. I think if both of these guys get it, look at if this happens, you should go play the lottery. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying on this. But would I bet on it? I wouldn't. I would not.
I would take one of those wide receivers to get a touchdown. Sure. I think MVS is like actually becoming more of a part of the passing game, and who Rodgers is obviously comfortable looking for anyways. So I like I think Rodgers is going to throw for 300 yards. I think a touchdown to MVS is certainly on the table there. Hugely bold prediction from Yinzer Jake. Love it so much.
I agree. And I hope it happens, man. And I'm not joking. If it does, you better have a lottery ticket by Monday morning. Cody Silva, Jeremiah Moon is the GOAT. Forget everybody else. I think everybody needs to put a little bit of respect on Jeremiah Moon's name. That man blocked a punt what feels like 11 years ago. And that was good times. That was good times. Shout out my guy.
We love you.
Enigma After Dark, guys, what's on your Christmas wish list for the Steelers? A playoff win, move on from Tomlin, or we find a franchise quarterback for fun? The two options you don't choose can't happen for 10 years. Then it's win a playoff game. I don't care about the other two. I could care less. You could go win a playoff game with Duck Hodges, dude. You could call him up, say, come on, bro. John Rice Plumlee could win you playoff games. Cool with it. Easy. not firing Tomlin for 10 years, whatever, dude. If you're winning playoff games, I could care less. Not finding a franchise quarterback, again, who cares? If you're winning playoff games, I don't. But you want to know what's be the worst possible thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers ever is to go another 10 years without. Could you imagine? I'm on the verge of my 40th birthday, and the Steelers have still yet to win a playoff game since I was 21. I just think you dissolve your franchise at that point. I think you get rid of it all.
If that rule applied, the Pirates wouldn't even exist.
They shouldn't exist.
Well, there's, the park can exist, sure, but
we could just go. We could just go sit in the stands,
hang out
like,
in park.
This is cool. This is a really good. They're doing the pierogi runs. There it is. there it is. I agree with that, but
it has to be a playoff win, right? Like, I'm a franchise quarterback. Is this city and organization's desperate for it? I certainly agree. Everyone wants to move on from Tomlin, or they did 2 weeks ago. I get it. This is Steelers football is playoff winning football, not just hoping you get there in January. I don't want to be 40 and them still not winning. I don't even want to. I won't have hair then, dude. Like, I will not have hair in my head.
Not either.
I'm cue ball Jake showing up when the Steelers win the next game.
We'd be counting it down. What happens first? Jake goes completely bald, or the Steelers win a playoff game? That's what 10 years would bring. That'd be awful, dude. Awful. And you're having a kid. You don't even know what stress hair loss is yet. You know what I'm saying? Dude. Like,
trust me, I'm already dreading it.
John, a little late. Did we officially win the Minka Ramsey trade after that game? Oh, it's a good question. It's a good question.
I don't think anyone won the trade.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah. I'm not sold.
Because, like, what if next year, like, the Dolphins are gonna rebuild in the off season? What if they figure out, how to get a good quarterback, and then all of a sudden their defense is like, they need help on defense too, but like, they have pieces that could be effective, like a Minka Fitzpatrick. Like, you could tell me in a year that the Dolphins won the trade because the Steelers no longer have Jalen or Jonnu Smith, and Minka's in a playoff game with the Miami or something like that.
Yeah.
But the point being, I don't think anyone won this trade yet. I think it's just been like a mutual loss.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's been a mutual loss. I think that's what it was. It was a mutual loss between all parties, and we'll see what happens. I think it's going to take a lot of time to decide who won this trade. Duff K. Metcalf, is there a reason Scotty is still employed and we haven't signed Alan Lazard? There is a reason. What that reason is, I do not know. I do not have the answer to that one. The Steelers probably do. I'm going to be honest. The Steelers probably have that answer. I don't know, though. They like Scotty Miller. They respect him enough to keep him second on the depth chart, which is nuts. And maybe they just don't view Alan Lazard as that guy. Maybe not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hard to when you have such a lineup of home run hitters. It's a murderer's row of wide receivers in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I mean, how can you drop Scotty Miller? He can just about get two hands on a football.
Just about. Or he could be your place kicker. Or not your place kicker, your placeholder, excuse me.
Yeah, that's good too. Either works.
Yeah, whatever you need. Whatever you need them to do. Whatever you need them to do. Maddie, what do you think of PQ's leadership? What do you think of PQ's leadership has been lately? I think PQ's actually a pretty good leader. Like, from my understanding, from what guys have told me, PQ is a guy that demands that room and gets a lot of respect in it, and isn't afraid to speak up. So I think leadership wise, PQ's phenomenal and has learned from like some obviously really good name in Roquan Smith, but also two coaches in Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh that I think has helped him quite a bit.
For sure. Yeah, I think he's just a vocal leader, and there's a lot of I get the sense from watching this team that there's a lot of players on the defensive side of the ball who their examples are set by their actions on the field, right? But like Patrick Queen certainly brings a vocal element to his leadership, and I think that goes a long way, especially when you're, maybe you're down and out a little bit. You need that guy to kind of pick things up. He certainly has been that veteran voice alongside, Cam Hayward and TJ Watt and Deshaun Elliott to sort of get the room going. So yeah, I mean, there's been ebbs and flows to his season overall, right? Like the first 4 or 5 weeks, he was excellent. Play took a dip in the middle of the season. Now I think he's really trending upwards again. And I think his vocal leadership and his voice in the room rising, I think, is a big part in why his play on the field is also kind of finding that same level.
I agree. Jacob, you want to know why the Steelers haven't gotten rid of Scotty Miller yet?
Tell me.
Cody Silva says it's because they need Scotty Miller to replace Roman Wilson. That's why. That's why.
Yeah, duh.
That's it. I can't believe we didn't put that one together. That's clearly, and as crazy as it sounds, that's the realistic answer. That's exactly why they haven't done it. So shout out to Cody for that one. Shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who blow my mind on a daily basis. Nate Moore, how much of the offense success is Arthur Smith's play calling versus Aaron taking control of the offense and changing the plays? I think this changes on a week-to-week basis. I think it's really hard to determine because I think there are some weeks where Aaron is doing a lot out there, but I think there are a lot of weeks where Aaron's not doing anything out there, or not doing, and I shouldn't say not doing anything, but just doing the normal quarterback stuff. The quarterbacks change plays. Like that's their job, is to go up to the line of scrimmage and say, yeah, that's not going to work. let's switch it up here. But not every single play. And I think some games it's an Arthur Smith success, and some games it's Aaron Rodgers. I think the Aaron Rodgers success is less than the Arthur Smith success, but the offense also hasn't been successful more than 8 times this season.
Yeah, I have found Arthur Smith's play calling to be better for the most part recently.
Yes,
I don't think Aaron Rodgers is like at the line of scrimmage. Like I don't see him doing the sort of like stuff that like Ben Roethlisberger would do in those final few years, where like he just wasn't even looking towards the sidelines. He just had play calls. Like I think Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith work in tandem like really well together and putting together their game plan so they don't have to. And this is me kind of like connecting some pieces, maybe speculating a little too much, but like I think for Aaron Rodgers to like get in his bag and start changing things all the time is a little too much for this offense to go through, right? And I think we've gotten some allusions to this, some references to maybe some players not picking up on things, professionalism kind of lacking, like that's maybe those leads me to believe like if it's not within the game plan that we go over in our meeting rooms and in our positional meetings during the week, we're not even going to mess with it on Sunday. And I think that's why you've seen kind of less of Aaron Rodgers going up to the line of scrimmage, completely changing everything. You'll see him cancel stuff, can. But other than that, you'll see, I think there's a lot of like in tandem and partnership between Rodgers and Arthur Smith to like have it be pretty simple and smooth.
Dude, that's so nuts that you could like I never even thought about that until right now. Like in the box, I don't hear any of that. And you're able to be like, this is what he said when he said this. And I don't hear a word. I don't hear a single word. I hear the drunk dude in front of me being like, I just think we should go get hot dogs at halftime. And I'm like,
I need coffee so I could drive. Like,
nope. Can't be doing that. Can't be doing that. Rats, do you think Rodgers wants passing touchdowns for his legacy rather than purely winning? No. And I think this because every time there's an accolade, he said, it's a longevity thing. All right, dude, just give us a quote. That would be awesome. Thanks. Appreciate it. I also don't think he came back at 42 to be like, I can't wait to throw more touchdowns. The guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's going to go down as one of the, I think, top 15, but I think there's arguments for him to be higher quarterback of all time. I think the only thing that boosts him into that top 10 conversation without any debate is winning another Super Bowl. And I think if he did that, that improves his legacy more than anything else. So my answer is no.
Yeah, I think he wants to win a Super Bowl. I think that's his main goal. Yeah, I wish I could
No.
poop on him, but no, I think that's what's up.
Can't do it. Can't do it. The real Nas, on a scale of 1 to 10, what chance do you give the Steelers to win their last 5 games if they beat the Lions this Sunday? So it'd be 3 games after that.
2 games after that.
2 games after that. Yep, you're right. I think if they beat the Lions, my odds are I think the Ravens should be like a null and void situation to where, like, if the starters play, they win. If they don't, I don't care. But I think they beat the Cleveland Browns. I definitely think they beat the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, they're gonna should beat them for sure. For sure.
They're gonna smoke the Shabrak. Gonna happen. Gonna happen. Mike, no, you coming to the D? We'll be at the game on Sunday. Enjoy it, my friend. I will not be in Detroit. I head back to good old Scranton, Pennsylvania on Monday morning to see the parents for a couple of days. So I'm pretty excited for that one. One field trip at a time. So shout out. And I hope you enjoy it. I've heard FedEx Field. I've heard Ford Stadium.
I think it's Ford Field, which sounds awful to say.
Yeah, both of them sound dumb. I heard it's a great place. I've heard Detroit's a lot of fun, so enjoy it. I hope it's a good time. 350 Supers, too slow or stop Lions to stop the Lions receivers, cover 2 or single high. I'm
okay. Fine. Oh, fine. Here. This is a slight tangent, but did you see my favorite quarterback in the world, Kirk Cousins, talk recently about how the transition from sort of old school reading of progressions to new sort of like pre-snap methodologies? Did you see this clip at all?
No, I'm not going to lie to you. If Kirk Cousins popped up on my screen, there's a 100% chance I'm scrolling past it.
I mean, I do too, because he's a swindler. But I saw this video of him talking about how he's an older quarterback, right? So he goes up to the line of scrimmage and he's looking for certain disguises to be revealed to him and certain movements, and that's why you have pre-snap movements so you can see what's happening with the defense. But he talked about how defenses are so good at disguising it that now you are just basically doing things like progressions. So you just you have your primary receiver, secondary, tertiary, and that's it. You're not even looking to diagnose, like, am I getting disguised single high coverage? Am I getting cover 2, but they're showing blitz? You know what I mean? Like, on and on and on. This, I think, is one of those things where the Steelers, there's no sort of like disguising, hiding. The Lions know how to beat the Steelers defense. It's not, there won't be a formation personnel set that will be able to totally take away an Amon-Ra St. Brown, totally take away the effectiveness of a Jameson Williams plus their 2 running backs. I think you have to kind of pick your poison here. And I think the Steelers have done a pretty good job of doing that against like Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, against Jalen Waddle and Devon Achane, of taking away your biggest sort of threats. And I think, honestly, single high, get it, for sure, could be effective in taking away Amon-Ra St. Brown. I want to see a lot of Joey Porter Jr. just on him only. If he wants to follow him and shadow him, great. But other than that, I think getting into the weeds too much about this is not sort of the way to go, because I think the Lions had the keys and the recipes to beating the Steelers already in hand. It's just a matter of like who imposes their will on Sunday.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. On a week-to-week basis, you're playing defenses. It's not like somebody comes in here and they're like, dude, I've never seen this defense in my entire life. What is happening here? It's how you disguise things, and it's at the end of the day how well you're going to play. So I think we'll see a mixture of both. I don't think that there is an exact answer, and I think your explanation of it is way better than my explanation will be. But I think I agree with you. At the end of this, the Lions know what's up. They've played these defenses before. It comes down to who's going to execute better, because either one of these defenses could stop the Lions offense if it's there. 350 Supers. No, do you think the Steelers fans outnumber Lions fans like Super Bowl 05? Ooh, it's a good question. It is close. It is a holiday weekend. I think there's a possibility that the city of Pittsburgh makes its way to Detroit. I'll say I don't know about outnumbering, but I have a hard time thinking that the Steelers are anything less than 45% of that fan base in that stadium on Sunday. Like, but I think that's my baseline.
Yeah, they travel well for sure. I do think Detroit's done a really good job, and their fan base has done a great job over the past few years of really filling out Ford Field. So I would be surprised if they totally take it over, but Steelers Nation, they travel well, so I won't put it past them.
For sure. ND Joe, whether it's A-Rod or
Arthur Smith,
I was like, I don't know who that one is. Play calling, I'll have to admit that when a play doesn't work, watching A-Rod drop more F-bombs than Jacob is hilarious. Dude, I will say that the Aaron Rodgers craziness after every incomplete pass, it's got to be the smelling salts just coming out. You know what I mean? Because like he could throw a pass and it's just like a normal, like, oh man, good play by the defense. And he's out there throwing his arms around and it's just insanity, dude. It's insanity what's going on. I love it. I'm telling you, it's like a little bit of roid rage just at the moment, just every time there's an incomplete pass.
Love the passion. I love the passion, truly. But yeah, I always, every single time, I'm like, who was he mad at? Why is he so upset?
I agree. I'm like, what did we do? You know what I mean? What did just that, Aaron? It was a false start, man. There's just no, you know what I mean? There's nothing. That was a touchdown. How did we get here? Cement and wire. Is TJ worth a first-round pick if the Steelers trade him next season? No.
No, the Steelers want him to be, right? But no, I mean 32
years old at that point. No.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think a 32-year-old edge rusher has been when was Khalil Mack
Khalil Mack was
over
like
30 edge
though.
rusher. Yeah, like that.
He was traded to Chicago when he was young.
He was still in his prime. Yeah.
I don't remember when did he get traded to LA? Is that how he ended up there?
That I don't know.
I'm saying max a third-round pick. It's the most you're getting for TJ this offseason.
Yeah, the value would be significantly less than the best time they could have traded him was probably 2024, but at least before they signed him to an extension this year. And I was in favor of them giving him the extension, so I'm not like
for sure. Victor, hey Noah, do you think this can be a trap game for the Lions? I think trap games at 8-6 are tough. I also think the Lions are fighting for everything that they have. The Lions have more on the line than the Steelers do in this game. The Lions are fighting for a playoff spot, and they do not hold one right now. So I want to say no. I don't think that this could be a trap game. Maybe the Lions like come in here thinking they're going to smoke the Steelers. Maybe this late in the season. If that happens, you're in trouble if that happens. But I don't know. I don't see it happening.
I think there might be some in Detroit or maybe within their locker room that are overlooking the Steelers, right? Because they're probably an easy team to overlook right now. But I don't think it's a trap game. I think these are honestly two teams that are like not that far apart from one another. Like I've said it so many times this week. This is not like the NFC Championship Lions team. Like this is a very different team.
Yes, I agree.
Khalil Mack was traded to the Chargers too, by the way.
Do you know for what?
A second-round pick.
What?
And a sixth-round pick in the year after.
What? At what age?
It was in 2022, so he would have been 31.
What was his stats that year? That's the question. That's what I want to know. What was his stats the year before he got traded?
The year before he got traded,
which would be 2021.
He had 6 sacks. He was hurt. He played in 7 games and he had 6 sacks. The year before he had 9 in 16 games. And then he got traded to the Chargers.
What? That's why everybody in LA got fired. That's why everybody in LA got fired.
That was a big trade.
That was a dumb trade. That was a dumb trade. That's why everybody got fired.
Wait. Yep. Yeah. That's what happened. Yep.
That's disgusting. That's the Steel, maybe, but if that happens, shout out to Omar Khan, dude. Shout out to Omar Khan. Tyrone, we're gonna finish off with you, Noah and Jacob. How many yards does A-Rod, DK, and Gainwell have this week, and how many turnovers on defense? You say over 300 for A-Rod, DK, and Gainwell. I'm saying, but I got Darnell leading all the receivers. I'm saying 75 yards for DK. I'm saying 85 overall yards for Gainwell in this game.
Yeah. Especially because I have Rodgers throwing for 300 yards. I think Kenny G is going to play some smooth sacks to the tune of 60 yards receiving. I think DK is going. He had 55 last week, 100 and some the week before. I'll put it in the middle. I'll go 80 yards for DK, so that's 130. MVS is going to come through with like a 65-yard game or something like that too, and that's how
Darnell's got to have the 100 plus at least.
Exactly.
More than 80.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm saying one turnover on defense. I think that's all that happens. One turnover.
Yeah, just Asante Samuel Jr. getting that second pick, baby.
Yeah, love it. All right, guys. With that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. Before you head out of here, hit that like and subscribe button. We can't thank you enough, as always. And with that said, I hope everybody enjoys a safe and beautiful weekend in the Burgh. We'll be back on Monday. Until then, enjoy another, I just said it, beautiful day in the Burgh. Peace.